Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Have you ever just stopped for a second to think about the incredible weight behind our most mundane everyday interactions? I mean, the stuff we do on autopilot. Well, today we're going to unpack a brilliant short story about a family simply buying some fruit. But, at its core, this simple little transaction is going to deeply challenge how we view our everyday choices. It really highlights those invisible threads that connect us to the people we just casually pass by on the street every single day. Let's dive right in. So, what is the true price of a quick return home? I want you to really ponder this profound question as we walk through today's source material. For most of us, right, going home early means maybe catching an earlier train or finally wrapping up our emails just a bit faster. It's really just a matter of convenience. But for others out there, an early journey home requires a tangible, mathematical sacrifice. Keep this question bouncing around in the back of your mind as we introduce the literal transaction at the heart of our explainer today. Okay, let's set the scene. Picture this. We're at a bustling market. A father, we'll just call him Papa, is taking a stroll with his 8-year-old daughter, Rashmi. Suddenly, they're approached by a fruit seller making a very classic, super enticing offer. He says, "This is the last bunch of lychee left. It's very nice. Buy it. I will give a discount." It is the absolute perfect sales pitch, right? He's got inventory he desperately wants to clear out, and he's totally willing to slash his own profit margins just to make it happen quickly. But what's really fascinating here is the response. It doesn't come from the father at all. It comes straight from 8-year-old Rashmi. She just pipes right up and says, "We bought yesterday only, it is there at home." You honestly have to love the strictly practical, unyielding logic of a kid. Rashmi's brain is operating purely on supply and demand. We already have lychees in our kitchen, therefore, we literally do not need to acquire more lychees. Case closed, right? There's absolutely zero emotional attachment to this transaction for her. It's pure 100% utility. But here is exactly where the story pivots. Papa looks at the seller and asks why he doesn't just wait a little while longer and sell the fruit at the normal, right price. And the fruit seller reveals his true motivation. He says, "I want to go home early. Festivals are coming up." Upon hearing this, Papa makes a highly unusual economic choice. He actually agrees to buy the unneeded fruit, but he explicitly refuses the discount, telling the seller, "Okay, I will take it. I will pay the full price. No need for the discount." Think about that. He is purposefully choosing to spend way more money than he's being asked to for a product his family doesn't even currently need. Let's look at exactly what that choice cost. 50 rupees. That is the exact amount of money Rashmi observes her father has just, well, in her eyes, completely lost. I mean, when you're 8 years old, watching an adult willingly give up a perfectly good discount makes absolutely no sense. To Rashmi, this 50 rupees isn't some noble act of charity. It's a massive, confusing miscalculation. She literally just watched her dad give up a great deal for fruit they already had sitting right there on their kitchen counter. And this brilliantly illustrates the core conflict of the whole story. On one side, we've got Rashmi's purely transactional logic. Money was lost, and completely redundant goods were acquired. Bad deal. But on the other hand, we have Papa's empathetic motivation. He isn't actually buying fruit at all. He's buying time. He's buying the seller's ability to go home early and actually celebrate the upcoming festivals with his family. We're seeing this direct, head-on collision between a child's purely transactional worldview and a parent's deeply empathetic one. So the narrative shifts back home. Rashmi is thoroughly confused by this seemingly terrible business deal, so she goes home and immediately reports the whole incident to Mama. She explains the lost 50 rupees and the totally unnecessary surplus of lychees. But Mama doesn't join in on Rashmi's outrage. Actually, in an instant, Mama understood everything. She immediately validates Papa's seemingly irrational actions, telling Rashmi he did the right thing. You see, Mama instantly recognizes the invisible currency that was really being traded at that fruit cart. Mama explains this to Rashmi by bringing up a really powerful concept: circumstances. Think about what this actually means for a second. Circumstances are the specific conditions of a person's life that dictate the options they have available to them. Mama tells her daughter that the fruit seller is a person exactly like them. They share the exact same human desires, specifically, the desire to be home with the people they love. The only real difference between their family and the man working on the street isn't their character or their worth as humans, but simply the circumstances they happen to be born into. To really help Rashmi grasp this, Mama breaks down the harsh realities of the fruit seller's life. He stands out there in the heat all day long. He leads a very, very tough life. He inherently had far fewer options presented to him in life than Rashmi's family does. And crucially, he needs that money to celebrate his festivals. By visualizing the seller's actual reality, Mama's building this beautiful empathy bridge for her daughter. She's showing her that the transaction wasn't about litchis at all. It was about relieving a tiny, tiny fraction of the immense burden this man carries every single day. So, the real kicker here is how Mama brilliantly reframes the very concept of the word discount. She points out that a discount amount only shows how much he wants to be home with his loved ones. Wow, that is such a profound shift in perspective, isn't it? The seller wasn't devaluing his fruit. He was literally quantifying his longing for his family. The discount was essentially a metric of his desperation to get home. By refusing that discount and paying full price, Papa was acknowledging the seller's human longing and flat out refusing to financially penalize him for it. But just when you think the moral lesson is neatly wrapped up with a nice little bow, Rashmi drops an absolute bombshell. Then why don't you give more money to our household help? Just let that sit for a second. It is a stunning, honestly brilliant counter-argument from an 8-year-old. If the rule is that we should willingly give up our own financial advantage to ease the burden of those with tougher circumstances, why exactly does that empathy stop at the fruit seller? Why doesn't it extend, continuously, to the people working inside their very own home? Rashmi instantly spots the glaring inconsistency in everyday adult ethics. And honestly, Mama's response is incredibly refreshing. She doesn't have some perfect, airtight, logical defense ready to go. She simply says, give it some time. You will understand these things too. She totally acknowledges that the boundaries of our everyday ethics are, well, messy. Why do we act with boundless generosity in one spontaneous moment at a street market, but strictly adhere to standard market rates with the people we employ daily? It's a super complex reality of adult life, and Mama gracefully admits that figuring out these nuanced, often contradictory boundaries is just a part of growing up. Ultimately, Mama synthesizes this entire experience into one beautiful guiding thought. Simple choices we make can give happiness to others. This is really what we should all take away from this story. We have immense power in our micro-interactions. The decision to accept or reject a 50 rupee discount wasn't going to make or break Papa's bank account, for sure, but it completely transformed the fruit seller's entire evening. It allowed him to retain his dignity, keep his hard-earned profit, and return to his family. Our small choices carry hidden, heavy weights. So Papa finally chimes in to give Rashmi a practical framework for navigating these messy ethical waters. It breaks down into 3 really simple steps. First, treat people with respect. Recognize their shared humanity, just like Mama pointed out earlier. Second, be fair in your dealings. And remember, sometimes being fair actually means ignoring the market rate entirely. And third, evaluate every situation correctly. This directly answers Rashmi's tough question about the household help. Every single situation is different. You can't just apply one blanket rule to everything. You have to evaluate the specific context, the specific moment, and act accordingly. Think about the transactions you made today. Seriously, the coffee you bought, the person you tipped, or maybe didn't tip. We are constantly surrounded by opportunities to acknowledge the circumstances of others. So I'm going to leave you with this. How might your simple daily choices give happiness to others? Are there discounts in your life that you're taking but you don't really need? Keep your eyes open for those everyday moments, because you never know when a simple, small choice might just buy someone their quick return home. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.